Um, and now it's time to to do what we do is we what we call resyndicate. We will apply for new credits and get back and inject a bunch of cash into this and bring it back to life. Address all the deferred maintenance and update all the building systems and refresh the apartment. So thank you all again. I really appreciate it. And if I don't mess this up, I will share my screen appropriately.
Yep, you should be able to share. Let me know if you can.
Uh, Let me make sure I am sharing the right screen. Can you all see? I don't know that you can see the right screen you were sharing.
We're looking at the project development review application.
Yeah, let me just see if I can slide this screen over. That work?
That
Yes.
works.
All
That works.
right. We're in business. All right. So, real quick overview of Eagle Point and what we do. Eagle Point's been around since 2001. Um, our primary objective is to acquire, renovate, and preserve affordable housing communities, utilizing the low-income housing tax credit. Since 2001, we have acquired over 40 properties in 10 states, totaling over 5,000 units. In 2007, we launched our management company. Prior to that time, when we were buying and developing these properties, we were using third-party management, and we found that we weren't getting the attention that we wanted um, to the detail and the response that we wanted to really manage these properties effectively. So we started our own management company, and that's been going on now for 18 years. Also in 2007, we launched a fund, an investment fund, using friends and family funds to acquire additional properties. And what we have found is, with that fund, it has required us to focus additional attention to make sure that we're delivering, not only to our investors, making sure that the properties are operating properly, but also really managing the properties and taking care of our residents. So what I want to share with you next is our portfolio in Missouri. It's our largest portfolio. I know you would say, well, maybe I should back up a second. Eagle Point's based in Portland, Maine. It seems odd that we would have a large portfolio in Missouri, but that is our largest portfolio. We have done this through a series of acquisitions that started sort of organically. We made one acquisition in Missouri that led to an introduction to another property, which then led to an introduction to Bank of America, who sold us a portfolio. And so we've been slowly adding to the portfolio, both in Kansas City and St. Louis. And as you can see, over the last 20 or so years, we've developed 14 properties there. The schedule here on the right just wanted to outline our commitment to investing real dollars in these properties to keep them affordable and to keep them operating well. So as you can see, Winston Churchill here, we've got a $10 million renovation plan. We just finished a $10 million renovation of Meadow Glen Apartments. That's up in Spanish Lake. We have a couple of properties downtown or in downtown St. Louis and Santa Ana Apartments, as well as Homer G. Phillips, the old hospital there in the Ville. Those have not gone through the renovation process, but since our acquisition, we have invested significant dollars there to keep those properties operating well. Similarly, we've done a significant amount of reinvestment and redevelopment of these properties in Kansas City, where we actually have our largest holding. We're in the midst of renovating historic Ellison. It's actually a very similar property. I'll show you some pictures momentarily of the work that we're doing there. Very similar to what we're going to do at Winston Churchill. We wrapped up a Page Point townhomes at 74 units that received a facelift in 2004. And you can see sort of on down the line, we've been doing this sort of systematically throughout our portfolio over the last 10 years. Um, some quick, just high-level photos of the portfolio here. As you can see Winston Churchill on our left, downtown or Homer, and Meadow Glen all in St. Louis, Santa Ana just outside in St. Anne, and then a number of properties in Kansas City. So we've been doing both, some of these more garden style apartments, like you see the orchards or Ashbrook townhomes, but also a number of properties that involve the historic renovation. So pretty well versed in what we've been doing there. And I'm going to I'll say at any point, if somebody has a question, please just shout out and interrupt me. And I'm happy to answer questions. Or if I'm going too fast, uh, please tell me to slow it down. Most importantly, we're here to talk about Winston Churchill Apartments. As you are probably all well aware, it's located at 5475 Cabanne Ave, originally constructed in 1927 and added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1985, which is really key because that helps us tap into the historic credits, which are important to add to the capital stack here to keep this property uh, renovated. In 2008, as I mentioned previously, we acquired this property. At the time, it was a shell. It was gutted out. It was unoccupied. This predates my time with the company, but we underwent a pretty significant repositioning of the property down to the studs. Everything came out, and all new systems were put in. Um, and it was brought back to life as an affordable housing community. Today, that property features 102 units with a mix of 56 one bedrooms and 46 two bedrooms. And I'm sure, well, if you're not familiar with the LIHTC program, that's a 15-year investment period. So, you get the credits, you run it for 15 years. After that period, you're eligible to go back in and apply for a second round. And as you can probably appreciate, these buildings get pretty beat up after being in service for 15 years, with lots of folks moving in and out. So it's now eligible for a new round of low-income housing tax credits. And with that, we will modernize and preserve this property as long-term affordable housing. I think one of the key components here is through the LIHTC program, it is a 30-year minimum commitment of affordability. So this locks in the income restriction for residents for that 30-year period, making sure this is a long-term asset to the community. A couple of quick maps here. As I said, you guys are probably very familiar with the location here, just across from Visitation Park, in that Central West End neighborhood. So continuing on with the overview, the affordability restrictions here, as you can see, are listed here. So one person, the income of one person is 46,000. Two people is 53, and three people, which is how they calculate a two-bedroom apartment. I'm sorry, yeah, a two-bedroom apartment can house 1.5 people per bedroom. So you get to three people. So a maximum income of 60,000 per person. All apartments will be restricted at that 60% of average median income. And it's important to note that we're underwriting the rents of $1,000 for a one bedroom and $1,250 for a two bedroom. These are limits that are set. The maximum allowable tax credit rents are set by the federal program, calculated based on average median income in St. Louis City. And so when you calculate that at 30% of the 60% limit, we're significantly below that max allowable rent. And I think that Antoinette, you had shared at one point that there was some concern about the rents themselves. According to our market study, comparable units in the area are a bit higher than that, and so we're calculating a 20 to 24% discount to the unrestricted market rents in the area of units that are of comparable improvement. And I think the most important thing here, and part of the reason that we're all here tonight, is we are seeking tax abatement. We're working with Zach Wilson and his team at the EDC to get tax abatement on the property. And that tax abatement allows us, based on the scope that is required to keep this property operating, it allows us to effectively keep the rents $110,000 below where they would otherwise be if we did not get the tax abatement. And as I had previously mentioned, as part of the redevelopment through the LIHTC program, we will be required to sign a new land use restriction agreement, which will encumber the property and extend that income restriction for at least 30 years. Uh, I can pause now and take any questions if there are any, or I'm happy to keep
Yeah,
plugging
I have a
along.
question.
Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
a question. Thank you for your time and
Sure.
information tonight. Do you accept, do you currently accept and will you accept in the future housing vouchers to live in the building? Or is the rent that you expect to be paid 100% from the tenants?
Yes to both. We do currently accept the vouchers, and we will in the future. Um,
Okay.
So, however, with the exception of those who do have the voucher, these residents, are expected to be able to pay the rent. I mean, I think sometimes we get these objections where, they're saying, hey, geez, these are all subsidized units and, folks are just going to be there, not work. That's not the case here. Residents have to have proof of income in order to live in the property.
I have a
Okay.
couple questions. Do you currently have tax abatement?
We do not currently have tax abatement.
So this would be something new.
That's correct.
Um, and are you getting FEMA money for tornado damage?
So currently, no, we have not. There was a limited amount of damage to the property from the tornado. It tore the roof off of the elevator shaft, which is and broke out some windows and knocked some rooftop units, the condenser units for the air conditioning on their side. We have managed to do most of the repair work. It's been, to be quite honest with you, it's been tricky to find contractors willing to take on the work at a price that was reasonable prior to um, the tornado. But we are not getting any FEMA dollars to repair the property.
Will you keep existing tenants or will the building go empty for the renovations?
No, so the way that we do these are, it's called a tenant in place rehab. So we will have some vacant units. Those will get renovated first, and we will temporarily move residents out of their current unit into a renovated unit for a 2 to 3 week period, renovate their unit, and then move them back. So nobody gets displaced in the long term. It's a short term, and I've been doing this for 10 years with Eagle Point, and we've done this. I think this is my 14th project where we've done these tenant in place rehabs. And they're tricky. They take some extra dollars to do the relocation properly. But we have found that moving them out of the unit while we rehab, frankly, is the right way to do it.
Earlier this year, someone who lived in the building says the management quality has gone down and there have been a lot more problems in the building. Can you address that issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly admit that we have had some struggles on the management side. We've had a tough time finding and retaining good staff, good property managers, and more in particular, good maintenance folks that stick around. We as a company, as our management company, had a long-term president who was there for 14 years. His retirement essentially coincided with COVID. We brought somebody new in, and that person was with us for 3.5 years. In that time, coming sort of during COVID and coming out of COVID in 22, 23, 24, we certainly had some struggles retaining good folks. And I think that it wasn't us alone. It was across the industry, across multiple industries of retaining good quality folks. Since that time, we brought back a previous employee who had been with us for a number of years, I think 12 years, as our new president. He's been with us now since November, and he has made a significant improvement in the quality of people that we are hiring. And we are working towards sort of stabilizing the management staff in St. Louis and frankly across the portfolio. And I think additionally, the current property manager has been there for just under a year. And I talk to her quite regularly as we've been working through the rehab plans, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and frankly, I think she's pretty darn good. These are tough properties to manage sometimes. Um, that area is a bit tough with the park across the street. But I think that she's done a great job, and she's done a really she's been working to let's say weed out, perhaps the wrong phrase, but working to find some of the more troublesome residents in the building who have been causing some problems, and working to sort of stabilize the property from that perspective as well.
Thank you.
Sure. Uh, so I will resume here unless everybody else has any other questions.
Yes. Can anybody hear me?
Sure
Yes,
thing.
go ahead, Irv.
Yeah. I'm sorry for joining you late. I had a time with this. But anyway, what is your time schedule? When do you intend to get started?
Yeah, sure. That's actually fits well into the next slide here. So quick timeline of the project. I'm assuming you guys can still see where I am here. So we applied for the tax credits, the low income housing tax credits back in March in that round of with Missouri Housing. We received the conditional reservation agreement in June. Because we're working through sort of multiple funding sources, we are a bit sort of hamstrung by their time frame. So we're working with the State Historic Preservation Office on the Part 2 application for the federal historic credits. That's going on right now. In September, we will submit for the state historic credits. Assuming everybody and everything sort of moves in the right direction, we expect to be through all the application and approval process in January of 2026, and mobilize shortly thereafter. The project's anticipated to take 16 months. So, if we start in February, we anticipate wrapping up by the end of May.
Well, the reason why I ask, we're just in the middle of a tornado recovery. I work for the city, and we are nowhere near we want to be at this time. In fact, I was going to ask you if you had available apartments that was ready to go, because we're looking for spaces to put families in now.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting from all the people that are working with trying to resell people is that we may be at this for another year and a half trying to get people settled. So if you are moving people out, that's only going to cause more of a problem, and you're going to have a problem with putting them someplace in St. Louis.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, we're not moving anybody out. There's some vacancy in the building now, which is kind of natural as units turn over. As we get closer to the actual start date, we will probably not, as folks move out, we will let vacancy kind of tick up a bit, so we create that. We'll create enough hospitality units, as we call them, so that we can effectively and efficiently move through the renovation process. But nobody is getting moved out of the building as part of this. Additionally, I'm quite certain that we have reached out to some folks, and I wish I had his name off the top of my head, but I'm happy I can look it up, as I know that I followed up on this. And where we do have vacancy, we've reached out to offer units to folks that have been displaced. And if you want to follow up with me after, I'd love to talk more about
Okay,
how we can help.
will do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure thing. All right, so a quick overview of the scope. This is an old building. It's got old systems. It's got an old facade. And because we're doing this with historic credits, it requires us to be very thoughtful and thorough on how we will renovate the property. There's a number of requirements through the Historic Preservation Office that require the quality materials that we can use, what we can and can't sort of replace. So as we work through it, just sort of high level. In the kitchens, when we do these, we go through and the entire kitchen's replaced. So all your cabinets, countertops, sink, everything comes out. All your appliances come out. Those are all replaced with new. When we're doing these, we're really focused on sort of reducing the carbon footprint of the building, reducing electricity usage, which ultimately puts more dollars in our residents' pockets by reducing their utility costs. So all the appliances are Energy Star rated. We go in and replace the bathrooms. That's vanities, the tops, sinks, lighting, all the water fixtures, toilets, faucets, shower heads, all get replaced. When we do the lighting, it's all LED lighting, which is much more efficient. When we do any sort of replacement of a faucet or a toilet, it's all low flow. We have found in doing so that it effectively reduces the energy consumption by about 25 to 35% of the building, and that savings is passed on to the residents. Um, Other interior finishes, it's fresh paint throughout, new flooring throughout the units. It's usually done with LVT, the really durable hardwood looking vinyl flooring. We found that is cleaner and frankly healthier than doing a carpet. All the HVAC systems are replaced, hot water systems are replaced. Everything is high efficiency. As I mentioned, all light fixtures throughout the building, all the hallway lighting, all the common area lighting is all replaced. Interior doors, when they get beat up for, as you can imagine, a number of reasons are replaced. We will update the lobby, leasing office, laundry facilities. There's a community room that will get a refresh. The elevators there have been problematic, particularly since the roof has been leaking and getting water into some of the electrical equipment. Those will go through a full modernization, and we will enhance other common area amenities. And then in addition to that, the exterior, so the brick and the stonework will all be meticulously conserved, full tuck pointing, and cleaned. The roof will be replaced 100%. The parking lot is milled and repaved and restriped. Any sort of stonework, concrete, asphalt that is chipped, cracked, or what have you is all repaired. Railings that could be loose or rusting will be repaired. And I think really importantly here, we will be enhancing the site lighting, both the wall packs on the buildings, as well as additional lighting in the parking lot, and increasing our security system there, additional cameras, better cameras than are there currently, and revamping the controlled access to the building. Our goal here is really to enhance the resident experience, and one of that is focused on security there. And I was speaking with the property manager just the other night, and I said, what are the things that we can do? What are your biggest complaints? What are the things that the residents are concerned about? And one of them was their safety. I think that we've seen a lot of traffic coming into that building from the park. Residents buzzing people in unnecessarily, or folks just kind of following people in, or the door getting propped. And so those are all things that we're going to be addressing with the new security and controlled building access system. An overview of the sources. As I had mentioned, this is primarily done on the equity side with the combination of the state, the federal, and historic tax credits. That's over half of the equity that goes into this is about $10.5 million. The permanent loan of about 7.25. I'm sorry, 7.5. We're assuming there's currently a city loan from CDA on the property, which will be assumed. And some additional operations from ongoing operations rather, and some deferred fee. And on the uses side, as you can see, it's an acquisition of $3 million. The indirect construction cost. So this is going to be a $10 million investment in the property in the hard cost, plus a 10% contingency, particularly since this is an old historic building. When you break that down, that's over $107,000 that's going into the building on a per unit basis, which is substantial. It's the highest one we've done so far. When we started doing these back when I started with the company in 2015, 35 to 40,000 was the norm and the expectation, and the obviously pricing has gone has increased substantially at that time. But this one above and beyond, particularly because of the historic nature of this building, we're going to see quite an investment in the building. The rest is third-party reports, investment or soft costs related to architect engineering fees, environmental fees, environmental reports, engineering, financing fees, and over almost $1 million of reserves funded. That's operating reserves and replacement reserves that we'll capitalize at the beginning of the project to make sure that this thing is well funded for the 15 years.
Why do you have $3 million acquisition if you already own the building?
Well, we have to because it's owned. This is tricky to sort of describe. It's owned by a different group of investors. So that group of investors is selling the property. We are essentially selling it. It's by IRS rules, it's considered an unrelated party, which we have to do to essentially sell it to ourselves. It means there's less than 50% of the same group of folks, but we have to pay off the current debt that's on the property, and we have to return the investor capital that they invested.
Are there any financials, relating to the initial project, the initial construction, the operations for the last 15 years for the building and its operations? Is any of that information available to be taken a look at just to see the history behind how you guys have acquired and operated the building for the last 15 years?
I mean, we certainly have the operations for the last 15 years. Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just curious, is that information available to be reviewed, to take a look at?
I frankly don't have an issue sharing it. I would certainly have to run that by the principals at the company. I'll be quite honest with you. This property's been operating at a loss for a number of years.
Okay,
But I'm sure I could put something together for you.
all right, thank you.
Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't catch the name. Who was asking?
Sure, my name is Della
Okay.
Elamine, and I am one of the DRC committee members.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure I'm responding to the right person. Thanks, Della.
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Um,
much.
Sure. We also sort of pride ourselves in finding the local creating a local development team here. So we have worked a lot with Stark Wilson Architects. They're based out of Kansas City. We've done a number of projects with them. EM Harris Construction, based there in St. Louis. They are on 2 of our projects currently. A great group, really well versed in both the rehabilitation of tax credit properties and the program with MHDC, which is really important. Heritage Consulting is our consulting group that is working to guide us through the historic credit process and rehab of that nature. Another investor, Sugar Creek Capital, they're based there in St. Louis, and our legal counsel is Lewis Rice, also based in St. Louis. So that sort of wraps up. The rest is just a quick sort of bio of the principals. My boss is Laura Burns and DJ Nelson, and then myself and my partner Jason, who does the construction part of this. But I guess I can turn it over to any further questions if you'd like, and go from there.
So EM Harris is already going out for bid, but you don't anticipate starting until next year.
That's correct. Yep. That's typical for these projects. They're out firming up the pricing now. The scope will be tightened up as we go based on the pricing. But because of for a number of reasons with the way that the city requires us to source the subcontractors, especially when we are getting city incentives, it's a long and involved process to make sure that we're meeting all the various requirements associated with wages and minority women-owned businesses, local small business. There's a number of groups that I think that we need to make sure that we're sort of checking the box of getting participation from.
And Neil, where are you based?
I'm based in Portland, Maine.
Are you aware of the history of the name of this building?
I am. I understand he is a local poet. I believe that many folks have confused him with the other. I don't want to say more famous Winston Churchill, but I do understand that he is a local poet
And novelist.
and novelist. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but Gordon, isn't this the building that Willie McGee once lived in?
I'm not sure.
Anybody else know that?
Hmm,
Hmm.
nope, not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Willie McGee used to lived in this building way back in the day.
Interesting.
Okay.
We anticipate the bicycle trail, the Hodemont track, which is behind this building. Are you willing to work with the community as we plan for the bike trail going through on the whole track line?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm an avid cyclist myself, so love to hear that. Absolutely.
Okay, it's Antoinette. She said that she had a hard stop, correct? So I was driving at the time. Did she say we're on auto something?
Yes, if you,
Yes.
Neil, are you done
Okay.
presenting?
I am. As I said, though, I'm happy to stick around and answer some questions if there are any more. And if not, I really appreciate you all contemplating your support here for this project. I think it's really necessary, and I can't reiterate how important it is to recapitalize this building and inject some new life into it because it's getting old and tired, and we want to see it function for a long time as quality, affordable housing for the community.
Well, we do appreciate you. If none of the DRC members have any more questions,
I don't have any right now, but are you available? If there are additional questions, as I look back through the information, are you available
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
questions
Yep.
after the session? Okay.
Yep. I believe Antoinette has my email address. That's the best way to reach me. She should have all my contact information, my office line, my cell phone. Um,
Okay.
feel
Okay.
free to reach out any way you prefer. Happy to
Thank
answer the
you.
questions. And I'll work on getting you an answer on sharing the historical financials of the property.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
well, thank you, Mr. Neal. I do appreciate you joining the DRC this evening. Right now, we are going to go ahead. Since there are no more questions, you are free to leave, and the DRC will go ahead and discuss the letter of support, how they would go about that. You should hear from me within a week or so with a follow-up.
Fantastic. All
Okay,
right.
okay. Thank you so much, and you have
Yeah,
a
thank you all so much. I appreciate your time. Have a great
Hey,
evening.
thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you.